Welcome everybody to Thursday, August 5th, Town of Bowling Green Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and we do have a quorum. We have missing Jerry Covington. He is not feeling well, and he said he will not be viewing by the Zoom either. If I can have everybody stand, follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First thing on the agenda is the delegations. We have in the year service award. I know she's been looking for this for the past month or two. Been bugging me about it. No, have not. Anyhow, Allison is going to do the honors, and I will come down there and award the plaque to Judy Beasley. Judy, could you come on forward?
This is a certification of appreciation awarded to Judy Beasley in recognition of dedicated service to the town of Bowling Green, Department of Administration for 5 years of service. Judy worked at State Farm for 22 years prior to coming to work for the town of Bowling Green, and she was hired to answer phones and take payments. Recently, Judy was promoted to Deputy Treasurer, Deputy Clerk. Judy's known for her contagious smile, her positive attitude, and the kindness she shows others.
All right. Next on the agenda is public comments. I would like to open up public comments. Anybody have anything that they would like to address council on? Please feel free to come to the podium, state your name and your address. And I would normally say keep it for 2 or 3 minutes, but since we don't have but a very few, if you got a 10-minute speech, okay. I open public comments. Anybody? Second call? Final call? Closing public comments. Next is members' comments. This is where council has the opportunity to discuss something they have done within the last month and or rebuttal any public comments. So I now open up member comments. Do we have anybody?
I would like to thank Judy and Tracy for the work they did on National Night Out. It was very nice and much appreciated.
Yes, it was great. Chief was out of town and, on his honeymoon, and so Rusty helped put it together as well, and they all did a great job. Anybody else?
Yes, does council also get a 10-minute speech if they want? I'm kidding.
Sure.
No. Congrats, Judy. Good job. That's
Ditto that, Judy. Thank you for your service.
All right. Hearing nobody else, close members' comments. Moving on to staff reports. Public Works and Utilities. Anybody have any questions for Josh? He is out there.
I don't have a question for Josh, but I would like to ask Andre on utilities. Is there an update on Kelvic? Are we still on top of that?
I have not briefed the interim town manager on it, however. But prior to Melissa leaving, we did have regular communications with their attorney. And then also there were some other problems that arose, and we notified Kelvic about that. So, yeah.
All right, anybody else? If not, moving on to, community and, economic development report. Anybody have anything for Joe Elson? Turn the mic on.
Is it now?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, it says Bowling Green, Virginia Community Alliance, send correspondence to members. Why would you send correspondence for your nonprofit? Do you not have an executive director that does that?
I am the president and kind of the acting, executive director. And we have not been meeting here recently.
No, I'm just wondering why Joelsa is
She
doing
is-
it for a nonprofit, which is not the town.
She is on the board, but that's all.
Oh,
So, yeah, she is on the board.
So if I can speak to that,
maybe that shouldn't be.
I've been working with Community Heart and Soul, which council's familiar with the program. You all passed a resolution on it prior to COVID, to the pandemic. That group seems to be disbanding, and they have interest in collaborating with the BGVA Community Alliance. So I was just acting as a liaison to connect the two groups.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure the lines are separated. Because we pay you unless you're paying her to do something.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a short question. I see you met with a couple of the Main Street businesses on the Memorial. Who's gonna fund that? Where is that coming from?
We're not really sure yet, Councilmember Gaines. It was expressed to me that the business owners along that corner are really interested in a mural, so we don't know yet. It may be a situation where fundraising needs to take place. I'm just really not sure. We're not that far along. It just came to light, although there has been a lot of talk about murals in the past through lots of different groups. A lot of people, I think, would love to see a mural here. So it's something that the business owners expressed. So I'm going to do my best to help them facilitate that. I think it would be very nice. The Milford and Main intersection is truly a gateway into our town. It's a nice south elevation to put a mural on.
All right, and one thing for you, it got left off of here for the, allocations for the, Fall Festival funding. So what we're gonna do is if you have anything that needs to be paid, turn it into Allison, and Allison will pay it out of general funds until the funds are allocated. I think, committee wants to meet one more time. I think they've been kind of going back and forth about how much they want to allocate. So let them meet one more time. We'll bring it up next month for the final allocation. But anything you have to pay now that you need to, just give it to Allison and she'll get it for you out of general funds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
At the subcommittee meeting, I thought that the decision was made for an allocation of 20,000. Are we saying that that's not the case?
Well, I had heard somebody had said something, but they thought they might want to go back to 23 or 26, whatever it was originally.
As long as it's not
So
less,
let's
I can
just-
work with.
Right, so
As
let's
long
just,
as, okay,
yeah, so let's
No
just get it
problem.
narrowed down in the next month, since it didn't make it here. Instead of adding it, we'll add it to next month, and if you need anything paid, Allison pay it out of general funds, and then we'll take it out from there, okay?
thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. And I hope to see you all at Music on the Green tomorrow night. We're kicking things off with Patsy and the Country Classics. It's a really hometown favorite, so I'm expecting a big crowd out on the green.
Many of our businesses on Main Street and beyond Main Street are keeping later hours. And so this is a great opportunity to come to Bowling Green, listen to some music, and enjoy each other's company, and also support our local businesses. Thank you all for your time.
You're welcome. Next is the town clerk treasurer monthly report. Anybody have any questions, for, Allison? Or Judy, whoever is doing it? I guess Judy is. Hearing none, town manager monthly report. Allison, do you have anything? Does anybody have anything for Allison?
I appreciate all the, minutes on the meetings.
There's just two items I'd like to bring your attention to. One is that the Planning Commission is in the middle of the review of the village self-storage site plan. And so it's staff that reviews it, and then Planning Commission will approve it when it's approvable. Also, I wanted to tell council that there's been a rezoning application that has been filed at this point. It's called Fairmont. It's the Webb's it is a project that the Webbs are bringing forward for a rezoning from B1 to R3 on Route 301. So that will be, I'll start processing that through the Planning Commission. Town Council will eventually see that project.
All right, I'm glad to see that moving forward. We got another one that might be coming forward here before long too. Anybody have any questions for the town manager? All right, moving on to consent agendas. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agendas as they are, items 6 and 7?
I have a question on 7.
Now, can we? What, huh? There was a typo in the minutes. All right, well, we need to go ahead and get a motion on the floor, and then we can go into discussions after that, please.
I'll move to, can we do it that way?
Or what do you want to do?
Yeah. Okay, well, okay, so type that's an issue with number 6.
All
If you had anything
right,
with number
let's-
7, so
all right.
let's just do them
Okay,
separately.
we'll do it this time, but we had this discussion before. If you have a issue with any of the consent agendas, please, before the meeting starts, bring it to my attention. And then when the meeting starts, I will go ahead and we will strike out which ones we don't want to vote on. And then we will discuss them. I'm just saying, we only got 2, so it's not so bad. But we need to try to keep it that way. All right, so we'd like to pull number 7 off. Is that right? Or is it number 6 y'all want to pull off? Which one? I mean, what do we have? Both? All right, let's do these consent agendas, single. Do I have a motion to approve number 6 consent agenda?
I make that motion.
All right,
On
got a
number
motion by
6.
Ms. Gaines,
Second.
second by Mr. Volt. Now for discussions. What do you have?
I believe Ms. Tang's name is misspelled under the minutes, that's all.
Who is?
Under public comment, Ms. Tang, it's not TZ, it's TI. At least in the times I've read it before.
You got that, Allison? Okay. All right, is that all?
That was all that I had noticed.
All right, anybody else? All in favor for item number 6? Yes.
Spillman Thomas and Battle, what are they attorneys for?
That's, hold on a second, that's bills. Let's move on.
Oh.
All in favor for item 6 agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, 6 passes. All right, now 7. Do I have a motion to accept
I'll
consent
make that
agenda
motion.
number 7? I got a first by Mr. Bolt. How about second?
I'll second.
All right, second by, Mr. Hooley. Open for discussions.
On this, land square. Wait a minute, sorry. So do we not have, people that cut grass and do stuff like that? They can't set up, I mean, we don't have enough staff that we have to hire somebody extra to do this?
What does she set up? Or who?
When you come right down to it, if we're charging $5.50 for an event and you paying $5.50 and $8.25 to set up, something's wrong with that picture.
What's she charge per event, Judy? $250 per event? Did her price go up since COVID? No. Oh,
Then the other one I wanted to know about is at David Brooks, 27,000. Is that on the one up on Milford?
Josh, I'm sorry, but anybody watching on a recording's not going to hear you. Sorry about that to bother you.
I see where it's split on the next page on there.
Yeah,
Page
so it's-
68.
Yeah, it's split. So the one is for the sewer at 100 North Main, which we turned into Andrea. The other one was for a water leak that happened sometime before I arrived. And the VDOT engineer mentioned that they needed to redo it. And so, yeah, we had to end up paying for that. And since he did the original job,
Thank
That
you.
was,
you're welcome.
that was the asphalt repairs, right, on that?
Yes, sir.
The
Yeah.
vinyl, the vinyl asphalt, so we should have no more from, Brooks. He's all caught up then?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
if I could address Councilman Davis, those bills were turned in for the Kelvic reimbursement because it's part of their problem. That's why I was asking on that earlier.
All right, any more, discussion on, agenda 7?
I was just wondering, the Rappahannock Regional, the training dues that we have to pay, is that yearly or how often does that happen? Yearly? Thank you, Judy.
I have a question. So going back to the building, was there a committee that was selected to work on that? As far as the events, in town hall?
I don't know. I know Mrs. Gaines had talked about, how we thought we should be able to go up higher on the monthly, on the event billing.
Yeah, Deborah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, so I
no
don't,
committee, but I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
we're gonna
there,
talk about
there
it,
had
and
been,
I
right,
guess I haven't gotten everybody together.
okay.
I'll take the blame on that one and get it. done.
Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I just thinking, it seems like this is something we keep hearing about,
Yeah.
so. that'd be
This
great.
week.
Yeah, I'm willing to help if I can, thanks.
Alright. Anything else?
Wasn't there another question about that, Spillman Thomas battle? that was on
They
there?
were bond counsel, for the water meter project with USDA.
Understood.
I wrote a note to Ms. Gaines, I'm sorry.
Alright, all in favor,
Oh,
for,
I have one more, sorry.
Okay,
Sorry. Dawn Hun, the, expenditure $75 for Music on the Green for the COVID-19. What was that? Dawn Han, $75 for COVID-19.
I don't know why it says COVID-19, but it's for the Music on the Green graphic that we use for our social media and for posters that are around town.
That makes more sense. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
now can I call for a vote? Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose. Alright, motion carries. Alright, moving on to unfinished business. Let me get my place here. Alright. If y'all remember, we had these, young ladies that came up to our meeting. I think it was at the last meeting, was it? Yeah, last month's meeting. And, we just decided to go ahead and do a resolution on the risk of organ transplants in China. We have a resolution before y'all. You can read it. I'm not going to read it out. Present it as it's written. But it's a resolution to educate Bowling Green residents and medical community on the risk of traveling to China for organ transplants in light of recent reports of state-sponsored organ harvesting for prisoners of consensus. So, to me, this is a very inhumane and a tragedy. What difference we can make as council is very minimal or none, but at least we can show support for the cause. So I'd like to take have a motion to approve the resolution. Huh? Okay. Do they? I don't have that. Okay. Tiny, is there something you want to get up and say there before we do this then? Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of Town Council, and thank you for allowing us to make this presentation. My name is Ji-san Bae, originally come from South Korea. Now I am an American citizen living in Fairfax County. As we described when you were here last, Falun Gong is a spiritual practice that was introduced in China in 1992. It combines gentle exercise, meditation, and the practice of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. The Chinese regime, however, views any spiritual movement as a threat to communist ideology. As a result, in 1999, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, began a ruthless persecution against Falun Gong, and it continues to this day. Perhaps the most heinous method used in the persecution of Falun Gong has been harvesting of practitioners' organs. Here is a video with more details.
Not yet. Okay, so excuse me. We do have the video ready. It's set to go on these televisions. There is something going on with the projector. And in lieu of trying to reset it 10 times, I think I can try to angle these TVs out so that more can see. Go ahead and try. I apologize to those out there for the technical issues with the wiring. But that's about the best we have. You can go ahead and start the video. Spacebar.
In the late 90s, Chinese government surveys said up to 70 million people were practicing Falun Gong daily. Health bills were decreasing, crime rates were falling, and morality was rising. So why were these people targeted for elimination and organ harvesting? Mona Ye was one of the millions meditating in parks every day.
There was a park across the street from my house. Because the first exercise site couldn't hold so many people anymore, it divided into the second, the third, the fourth. So at every street corner and in every park, you could see people practicing Falun Gong.
There was from different kind in society. It was many policemen and military.
It was just fundamental part of society at that time, and everybody knew somebody who practiced.
Falun Gong is a traditional practice of self-cultivation, a practice of slow-moving exercises, meditation, and studying of the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, and trying to adopt those into your life.
While morning exercises had always been popular in China, Falun Gong brought more than just health benefits.
For thousands of years, the Chinese people have believed in Buddhas and Taos and becoming an immortal. Falun Gong really dared to talk about these things. And immediately people took it to heart. Oh, the true ancient good things of China have come back.
However, after 50 years of political campaigns to destroy traditional beliefs, any revival of spirituality was seen as a threat to communist rule.
Since I was 11, I experienced all of the Chinese Communist Party's campaigns. Group after group of good people were targeted. There was no faith, no truth. Falun Gong stood in stark contrast with communist ideology. So it would be very hard for it to be tolerated by the CCP.
With more practitioners than members in the Communist Party, the party chief, Jiang Zemin, saw it as a threat to his power and overruled the government's support of Falun Gong.
Jiang Zemin issued order set up special office called 610 Office in charge of nationwide campaign of persecution.
Known as China's Gestapo, the 610 agency was above the law and could use any and all means necessary to achieve its sole mission to eliminate Falun Gong. The nationwide campaign began July 1999.
You'd have mass book burnings organized by the party, steamrollers going over Falun Gong cassette tapes and CDs.
Essentially, it's a process of demonizing and dehumanizing, incessant propaganda.
With millions of practitioners in detention, one of the worst crimes in history began taking place in hospitals throughout the country as organ transplants suddenly began to skyrocket.
We've been asked to investigate allegations that there has been harvesting of organs of Falun Gong in China. Our bottom line conclusion, after considering everything as best we could, was that the allegations are true.
I began conducting comprehensive interviews with medical professionals, Chinese law enforcement personnel, and over 50 refugees from the Laogai system. But I estimate that 65,000 Falun Gong were murdered for their organs from 2000 to 2008.
Essentially what organ harvesting means is they're taking Falun Gong practitioners literally like cattle, holding them in prison camps, testing their blood and other vital organs, and when someone comes into the country that needs a heart, a liver, a kidney, they find a match, they take the Falun Gong practitioner, extract their organs, of course killing them in the process, it is literally life and death for many of the upper echelon of the party members that run China to not let the Falun Gong story be told.
Falun Gong has been exemplary in its response. It has never dealt with violence in a violent way. It's always responded with forbearance, with love, with truth, with patience, and ultimately that's going to prevail.
Thanks for the opportunity to play the video. Yeah, lady standing me is Chun Yan Wan, is another survivor of the persecution. The police in China killed her husband for trying to protect her. She spent 7 years in prison for telling people about Falun Gong. She was fortunate to escape China with her life. More than 20 of her fellow Falun Gong practitioners were tortured to death. During her imprisonment, Mrs. Wan was forced to do slave labor up to 18 hours a day. One of the items she made was the jackets like the ones she is holding here. Most of the products made with slave labor were exported to the US and European. Mrs. Wan was also blood tested while she was in prison. This is one of tests used to determine organ compatibility. In other words, the Chinese regime considered her not only a slave, but also a potential organ donor. Why don't most Americans know about this? Because the Chinese regime, as I'm sure you know, has tremendous influence over the media. They pay newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post to insert a special section called China Watch into the newspapers. As a result, U.S. policymakers and business leaders read communist propaganda in the newspapers than trust. In the meantime, the CCP has tight control over all information going into and coming out of China. Why Americans need to know? When we speak with the people in Virginia about forced organ harvesting in China, most are shocked that no one has told them about this, and everyone agrees that it must stop. One person in Northern Virginia told us that his neighbor had planned to go to China for an organ transplant. Fortunately, he told his neighbor about forced organ harvesting, and by doing so, he likely saved the life of at least one innocent Chinese people. But some found out too late. A lady in Orange County told us that she had already gone to China for a transplant. Can you imagine finding out about this after the fact? You know, it's hard to approach federal level. You need PSA money and need a lobby firm. We don't have. That is why I ask for your help. You are the level of government that's closer to the people. You care your people. I can speak out as an individual citizen, but I'm asking you, the Bowling Green Town Council, to join your voice with mine, because our voices are louder together. A resolution on forced organ harvesting in China will educate our citizens about a matter that impacts them, and it will tell the U.S. Congress that this is an important issue that needs action now. Thanks for your support of human rights and religious liberty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we do have a motion already, correct? Is that right? Okay,
Yes, I'll make the motion that we, pass the resolution.
okay. A motion by, Jeff, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Gene. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right, the resolution carries. Allison, I don't know if there's something, just we can put out there on our Facebook or something that we did this resolution in support of that, please. I'd like to, just for the town people to see our support, please. Appreciate it. All right, next on the agenda, allocations for the coronavirus state and local physical recovery funds. Y'all know we have been, given, what is it, 609,541. We now need to bring that into our budget. So we need to allocate the funding, please. We will do a roll call on this. Or is this discussion only? Is that what we're doing? I thought we were doing a motion on this to bring it in.
Not at this time. It's discussion only, unless council would like to guide staff on future direction. We'll proceed forward with the items that have been identified to us already as things that council are interested in, and finding costs for those, such as the security of the buildings. The items that you see on my memo are the ones so far that have been given to staff. And so if council would like us to move forward on any particular one, then yes, a motion for that. Otherwise, staff will continue to collect ideas and get cost estimates.
Does this mean we are doing all these, or this is up for discussion?
This is, council makes the decision as to whether to do any of these. This is simply ideas for, that were presented, that were given to us. So it's completely up to council. I know that the EDA also has ideas on what they would like to have done, and with facade grants and infrastructure. They so far they've identified maybe parking lots. So this is simply a list, and if council would like to direct staff on it tonight, then that's great. Otherwise, this is for, I just simply couldn't decide whether to make it discussion or whether to have a vote on it. So when council feels that they're ready to move forward, then that's great.
Yeah, don't we have to do a public hearing to add it to the budget and then appropriate it?
And that's what.
I don't think it's, so it's not ready.
Yeah.
It's not ready yet.
All right. Yeah, I was under the assumption that we were going to be adding it to the funds. But yeah, you're right. I think we do need to do a public hearing on it.
And I just want to say at our committee meeting, we had a discussion about this, and my impression was to mostly come up with a vehicle or how we can have input from the community on what the needs are, that people were just kind of spouting off some things they heard. But, you know, I feel like we definitely still need to figure out what is the best way to hear from our community members as to what they feel we need in this community. So if you guys have ideas, I don't know how to do that effectively, but I really feel it needs to be, you know, we certainly all have our ideas, but so maybe you can let Mayor Gaines know or Allison know what your thoughts are to that, or if you hear people.
Have we heard anything back on security for the front office, for the girls in the front office yet? Have we
They
got
ha-
anything on that?
They have been trying to get a quote. There previously was a quote, but now the contractor who was going to do that work is no longer available. So we're trying to find another quote for that
Okay,
work.
all right. Because that's one that, I feel, and I think everybody else feels. I know I put a consensus out there, that's really important to get done, that and securing the, sewer plant, with a, automatic open and close gate. But really here with the girls in the office, we don't need people to be able to just walk around in their area where they are. They need to stay behind in a certain area and be, allocated to their part of the public. This is town property and this is where they need to be, but the girls need to be safe behind it, especially when, we have money sitting around. So that we need to really get on and try to get something going with that. That's something I'm really strong on, is safety around here, especially for our workers. All right, anybody want to discuss anything on this, or you want to defer? I know y'all had a good committee meeting. Y'all had, a few council members there. Y'all want to just keep it a committee right now?
That's
I think we really
Come
need
up
to,
with ways.
I think we really need to discuss what's on this list because I'm not even sure improvements to town park, these things are even eligible.
I can
for
speak to
funding.
some of those things. What I'm seeing on this list, and me speaking is pretty much purely from the subcommittee of utilities, facilities, and all that. This list before us is sort of just I think this is list everything that's been mentioned so far that staff had to write down for this year. Nothing's been, it's just really early. All of these things have been thrown out as things that were discussed. Cause like, I remember like on here, it even still says dog park, and that was a long time ago that was like in a kind of a random email that we had, I believe. So everything got put on here. It doesn't mean to say that these are some things that we can take a look at, and I'm sure we're gonna hear. This list pretty much seems to be mostly just things that went through utility facility that were discussed in some fashion. I'm not really seeing things from the EDA on this list. So I think over time we're gonna compile a larger list from all the subcommittees and also from the public. And I do agree that hearing more is best. But yes, we do need to well, again, from these things, a lot of these are we're waiting. Some things have been inquired to see what something might or might not cost. So before we were at that subcommittee, would even say, "Hey, let's entertain the idea of restroom facility at the park." We're putting the feeler out to be like, what would that even cost? Maybe that would be something that would then come from that committee and then be like, "Hey, council, what do you think?" But everything on this list that we would even be interested in is still out there waiting for some sort of dollar amount before bringing it up.
No, I get that. My question is, I don't think a dog park is eligible for the funds.
Probably not.
That's what I'm kind of getting at. I get it's the challenge is as the public comes forward and says we want,
Yes.
we're limited in what we can use the funds
And again,
for.
this
So,
has every single thing that got
some of
brought
these
up.
things definitely
Because I think a lot of it has to be
great,
used
but
for,
we can't
PPE.
use the money for that. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry, sir.
no, I'm fine. I didn't mean to cut you off, but anyway, but it's supposed to be split out, unless they've changed things. I know we sat in on a video conference on this, when this was first made announcements on it, and half of it is supposed to be for PPE and safety and, reimbursement for, COVID expenses, hazardous duty pay, that nature. That still leaves a gray area in there as far as what can be used. The other half of it is supposed to be able to use for community related resources, but we still haven't received a lot of information on that. A lot of this stuff is still coming down.
I'm looking at the list of use of funds is limited to. I don't see anything that says community related resources.
That's the other half. See, we got over $1 million. We're only getting half of it out of town.
I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm just,
like I said, they're still dealing with with the rules on how they want to see this spent.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
there's a website on the page for the Commonwealth
Mm-hmm.
that has directions on the funds and so forth.
Y'all are more than welcome to check that out. Please do. So y'all know a little bit more. I can check it out as well. I know Allison's probably already has. But like I said, some of the stuff is still changing. Nothing for sure set in stone. With that, we will revisit this at a later date. Let's get some ideas out. Let's get some costs coming in. And then we will revisit this on doing a budget amendment and adding this into our budget. Any other discussions on this? If not, move it on to number 10, new business, Bowling Green billboard lease. We have to sign a new lease for the billboard.
Actually, it's our first lease, even though
First
the
lease,
billboard's
really?
there.
Oh, first lease. I guess we had verbal agreements. They've gone out the window now. This was done on a napkin.
Not even a napkin.
This is billboard at 207 west of town limits.
It's free.
Yeah, what is it, free or is it $10? What is it?
It's free.
Free. All right, it's free. So, Andrea has worked this up with Mr. Richard Hilton Jr. Thank you. And now we need a motion called on this or what? Yes, who?
You have to have a motion first.
You have to have a motion to discuss it.
I make a motion that we sign the contract to lease the billboard on Route 207 west of
All right.
town limits.
I have a motion by Mr. Hooley.
I second it.
I have a second by Ms. Gaines. Any discussions?
Yeah. Can we see about getting the billboard updated? It's been that for years. I mean, maybe with some of this money, we could update it some. What does it say? Bowling Green, walkabout.
It hasn't been there for years. It's been since I came on, and that in years. Sorry.
Well,
Anyway, it's
how long you
faded.
been on, Gene?
it's a faded mess.
It's a mess. Yeah. 11 years. That's years to me. All right, but anyhow, yeah. I mean, so explain this lease to me. Are we just leasing the land where it sits on?
Yeah. Yes, we're leasing the land where it sits on, and we have the right to access it to maintain it and repair it.
Okay, so we own the billboard itself, is that correct?
Correct.
And we just lease the land where it sits on.
Mhm.
So, all right, so it's up to us to change the billboard ourselves.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Council Gaines, do you have any idea what it cost the first time that you did it?
I didn't know it's five. So, stop at one.
Do we have leases on 5 of them?
This is a big one. Okay. Yeah,
I
just
know.
for one.
Do we have leases on all of them?
It does.
Same reason you'd have one lease and not lease on all.
It does say under section 4 that the town agrees to maintain the billboard so it's structurally sound. So we could incur a cost, I guess. If
Yeah.
it came to it. I don't know the structural integrity of those.
It's probably still good.
You're saying that there's 5 around?
Or are you talking about the welcome signs coming in? The little small ones that say coming in, welcome to Bowling Green? Or the big one? We got one out here, don't we? Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think it's. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we do get 2 then, now that you mentioned the small one, the one out on 301 there. Yeah. Okay.
We just have a lot more to offer now. I mean, the activities, the Harvest Festival has grown, and Music Festival. I mean, I just think it could be updated, my opinion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Are we done with discussion? All right, let's do a roll call on this one. Arthur?
I,
Deborah?
I'm just, I mean, there's some questions, I guess, in there, but I mean,
Deborah?
do we have well, we're on the roll call.
I'm happy to answer your questions after.
Ms. Ballard?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mr. Volt?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Committee reports. Jeff?
All right. Well, we met last week, and see now we have a nice collection of minutes for our subcommittee. If I can go and find them, but we had a nice discussion. I'll skip that. So we talked about some things like the COVID funds, and some general improvement things that could maybe be doing. And like I said, kind of waiting to hear back on how much a lot of costs on different things would be. Our last two utility meetings were sort of a getting used to working with our interim town manager, and it's been good. I'm not necessarily going to speak for Tammy and Jerry, but I'd like to say that I think moving on, I think we'll try to be a little bit more agenda driven and really tackle some things. I think we're going to put some more motivation behind everything now, and hopefully bring some good stuff back to the council soon.
Okay.
One thing that I wanted to point out was that it was brought up about the cemetery fence over in the meadows. And I did take pictures and send them to Allison for that. Did you get that, Allison? Okay. So I guess we'll be talking about that soon.
Gene, you have anything? Gene? Okay, Deborah, you have anything?
We met, and it's been a while since we've met, the budget committee and the ordinance and the, PR, whatever. We're a pretty big committee there. We were in charge of a lot of stuff, so it's kind of scary. But anyway, so we did discuss the budget, and, Allison had a great suggestion about a retreat. I think she was gonna try to figure out if we were gonna have it here or where, so that we could all meet and have people who, those that, are asking for funding or that need to update things or whatever it is, that they bring it to the table and we can ask questions and, collaboratively instead of just trying to like, oh, here and they're not, we don't see them. It's just, I think, a really great idea. We met with Joe Elsa, and she went over her needs for the events, the fall festival, and I felt that went really well. And she's working. She took some of the suggestions we had about maybe how to maybe better fund the project, and it seemed pretty clear that we were gonna approve the amount that she needs. I guess there's still just a question of how much. So then we went to talking about the staffing a little bit and for the future needs of the town and how, are things working well? Trying to look at, because the dust really hasn't settled since we've had all the changes we've had. So trying to figure out, are things working well? Do we need, as the town grows, are we going to need more people to work at town hall, whether it's just to be to answer a phone or what? So we're still trying to figure that out. And then we did touch a little on the coronavirus recovery funds. And again, I think the biggest thing is, and we all agreed that we've got to just hear the voices and make sure that we have the capacity to hear all the voices and be organized about that. Whether we put out there on the town website, this is what's going on, and we show them where they go to find out what the guidelines are and say, if you have any suggestions, send an email or, talk to a council member. I think that's what we need to look at. So I think that's it. Thanks.
Oh, Planning Commission met, as Allison said, we discussed, potential site waivers that is waiting on a little updated information from Dan Webb. And then we'll just progress on that once we get everything we need.
Arthur, you have anything?
No, sir.
Hear none? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Mr.
I
Mayor.
got a motion by Mr. Volt. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hooley. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, stay behind. Meeting adjourned.